Hi, it's Benji on Benji 84.0. In this video, I'm going to be talking about everybody's favourite generation, Generation Z. Now, I've noticed that some of Generation Z have started calling themselves Zoomers. I don't know if they think that makes them sound more cool. They certainly couldn't be less cool. Zoomers, where are you zooming to? Oblivion, and unfortunately, taking all previous generations that are still alive with you. So, Generation Z think they have it hard. I will flat out say at the start of this brief video, no, Generation Z, without doubt, indisputably, have it easier than any generation to ever come before them. Okay, they have it easier than any generation to ever come before them. If you're wondering, I'm the final year of Generation X, the very final year of Generation X. See, I thought millennials were bad, and if you're not a millennial or a Zoomer or Generation Z, you may well have thought that millennials are bad as well. However, as bad as millennials are, you haven't seen anything yet. Generation Z, well, you would have seen them by now. They're unavoidable, obviously. They're the coming force. Well, they're here. Generation Z, they're here. And they are certainly making their presence felt. So, yeah, millennials are bad, because millennials raised Generation Z. So this is on millennials as well. I've said this before and I'll say it again. As bad as Generation Z are, and they are, millennials are bad as well. They're culpable in this because it's mainly millennials that raised Generation Z. As I say, I'm the very final year of Generation X, so I've fortunately just missed being a millennial. However, being a millennial is not as bad as being Generation Z. So as I say, Generation Z think they have it hard. No, they have it so easy. They have to invent issues. They have to invent the issue of being misgendered, right? That's one of their main problems, being misgendered, right? That's not a real problem. Try being a serf, SERF, in medieval England. Then you'd have some problems. Or try even living in Victorian London. Then you'd have some problems. Or coming forward a little bit into the 20th century, which is only the last century, try being any male of 16 years or older between the years of 1914 and 1918, at least in this part of the world. Then you've got some problems. Being misgendered is not a problem, Generation Z. Generation Z also seem to think doing 8-hour shifts in a retail job is a problem worthy of crying about on camera while in their work uniform. There's a famous example of it. A barista for a very famous coffee shop that when I was looking at potential photos to use for custom thumbnails for this video and another video I may well make, the famous crying barista for a very famous coffee shop wearing his uniform was actually late 2021, so that's already 3.5 years ago. So I think some of the shop working Generation Z individuals might be catching on that all other generations are pissed off with them and their utter incompetence, ineptitude and terrible attitudes towards paying customers, because some of them seem to possibly be making an effort, because I will say they're all online all the time, Generation Z. So some of them may be aware that every other generation in existence is pissed off with them. In this instance specifically, because loads of them work in retail. If they work, like how terrible they are. It's not like, everyone's kept quiet about it. Some of them seem to be making their version of an effort. They must be aware, some of them. And not only are people pissed off with them, they're also making fun of them like I am here. So, yeah, I mean, they consider that they have it hard. And what the two main things they seem to have an issue with is student loan debt and being misgendered, right? Now, student loan debt is entirely avoidable. Don't incur it. Don't go and get a pointless degree that isn't going to get you a job any better than, working in a coffee shop. Just go and be a barista in the first place. Although you might cry about it because you might have to do an 8-hour shift. I mean, 8-hour shift. Right, okay. Now, they also seem to find retail work difficult. Okay. I'll tell you, right. In my late teens to early 20s, mid to late teens to early 20s, I worked in retail. I'll tell you exactly how hard retail work is. Not hard at all. It's not hard. Okay. In fact, it's some of the easiest work possible. And if anything, Generation Z's version of retail work is easier than the version of retail work I was doing in the late 90s and early 2000s, because nearly everything is automated now. It wasn't back then. You actually had to do something. Now, I'm not saying they don't do anything no. They find that work difficult. They find an 8-hour shift difficult. Come on. Now, and I'm not complaining about it, have done countless 14-hour shifts. And I've done 60 and 70-hour weeks, 60 and 70-hour weeks. And, right, I imagine, in fact, I can guarantee some of you watching me have as well. Okay. I certainly don't complain about it, to be honest with you. When earning hourly pay in the past, I would want to do long shifts, less long shifts, but long shifts. So that, this is just as a side note here. If I can do 4 very long shifts in a 7-day week, that's fine by me. Once I'm out of job, at least in the past. If I can do 14 hours once I'm there, great. And every now and then a 60 or a 70-hour week, again at an hourly rate, an hourly wage, yeah, that's fine. That's great, okay? And then take time on other occasions. That's always been my approach. An 8-hour shift is, at least as far as I've always been aware, an 8-hour shift is the norm. Since when is an 8-hour shift some sort of a massive hardship? Well, to Generation Z it is anyway. I got sidetracked there briefly. I wanted to explain my position anyway. So yeah, so their main hardships are student loan debt, which, as I said, can easily be avoided, completely be avoided. Being misgendered, it's not a thing. And having to do 8-hour shifts. 8-hour shifts, as I say. As far as I've always been aware, 8-hour shifts are the norm. Well, not to Generation Z. So here's another thing Generation Z seem to be incapable of doing, well, at least, dressing themselves. Now, I've mentioned this before in content that isn't up anymore. I have seen Generation Z women in particular, women in their prime, in their 20s, wearing dungarees. Okay, I have also seen Generation Z individuals, both male and female, and all the other genders in between. Don't want to misgender any of them, wearing Velcro shoes. Okay, now I stopped wearing Velcro shoes when I was about 5 years old. Okay, so this is what we're dealing with here with Generation Z. How can they be expected to handle basic retail work if they can't handle wearing footwear that involves shoelaces? How many of them wear footwear that involves shoelaces? Because not many of them take part in sport, okay? Because if you take part in sport to any decent level, or even working out, exercising, you're probably going to be wearing footwear that involves shoelaces. Well, I see a lot of Generation Z, both the males and the females, and all the other genders in between, that don't look like they take part in sport, that don't look like they exercise, all right? So shoelaces, yeah, beyond them. Like I say, Velcro shoes, Crocs. I'm going to go back to the Velcro shoes, though. I mean, Crocs have been a thing for decades. Slobs wear Crocs. You wear Crocs, you're a slob. You wear Crocs in public, you're a slob, all right? That's, again, a side note. I mean that, though. Of course I mean, I wouldn't say it otherwise. But all people of all generations wear Crocs in public. It's just slob behaviour. It's awful. So plenty of Generation Z individuals wear Crocs. It's the Velcro shoes, though. It's the Velcro shoes and the dungarees. I mean, are you trying to look like simpletons? Simple Jack from Tropic Thunder, a movie that offends Generation Z when they become aware of it. It's problematic. Comedy is problematic to Generation Z. This is a full Generation Z takedown here. I'm covering it. Comedy's problematic to Generation Z. Everything's problematic to Generation Z. They can't handle video games. They're too difficult for them. They're not accessible enough. This lot of clowns. Right, anyway, let's keep this going a little bit longer. Yeah, the Velcro shoes and the dungarees. I mean, like the Generation Z women, what they wear. And I'm talking, so, you know, there are plenty of Generation Z women now in their 20s, right? Technically in their prime as women, right? Dressing, like I said, dungarees, Crocs. I've seen both the males and the females wearing Velcro shoes. The women often wear massive flared jeans, big clodhopper trainers. I wouldn't be surprised to see them wearing wooden clogs, like the Dutch historically have worn. You know, they wear massive clodhoppers. What the hell are they wearing? Massive flared jeans. Like I've noticed the Generation Z women from the ages of, say, the ones that will be going out, you know, to nighttime venues at the weekend. So 18, 19 and older into their 20s, wearing massive lumberjack shirts, lank hair hanging down, no makeup. Again, none of them really, most of them don't look like they take part in sport. Also, I hear Generation Z sportsmen and sportswomen, professionals, talking about having superpowers. Generation Z actually believe that in superpowers, right? They believe in superpowers. This is how ridiculous it is. This is why Britain and England are shit at sport again. Because at this point, it's basically Generation Z and a few millennials clinging on, right? Basically, all of our professional sportsmen and sportswomen are Generation Z. And these fuckers literally believe in superpowers, all right? Of course we're shit all over again. We're crap. They're crybabies and they make excuses. Even the professional athletes. Right, and as I say, you know, I see that the Generation Z women wearing massive flared jeans, clodhopper trainers, Crocs in public, the Velcro shoes, the males and the females, dungarees, massive lumberjack shirts, you know, mini skirts, high heels, forget about it. Although this lot, I wouldn't want to see them in them, to be honest with you. But seriously, the ugliest generation of all time as well. And they go out of themselves to uglify themselves even more, particularly the females with the facial piercings and the ridiculous sleeve tattoos, the ridiculous multicoloured hair. I'm covering all of this here. This is definitive. Green hair. Green hair. Green hair is not attractive on a woman. I'm saying this as a straight man. Green hair does not look attractive on a woman. What, you trying to look like Slimer from Ghostbusters? Well, you're doing a good job. About as appealing as well. Seriously. It's completely ridiculous. Anyway, that's a pretty... no, I'm going to leave it at that for now. That is a pretty definitive takedown, at least on some points, verbal takedown of Generation Z. So, if you like the video, make sure you hit the like button and give it a thumbs up. Share it with someone if you think they might get something from it. Subscribe, and when you do, ring the notification bell. Comment. This is Benji on Benji 84.0. Hasta pronto.